Okay. So let me teach you what is last time we started and how to generate uniform distribution. This is something which we need always, given that we only have, only thing which we have is an unbiased coin. Okay, which is head and tail with probability half. Okay, so we saw last time that if n is of the form 2 to the power some b, then using b coins we can generate a number from 0, 1, 2 to 2 power b minus 1 uniformly at random. And as William pointed out last time, we just add plus 1 to uniformly generated number, okay, uniformly generated number to get a number uniformly at random from 1 to 2 to the power b, which basically means you get a number here, you just add plus 1 to this, right? And so this will give you a number which is uniformly at random between 1 to 2 power b rather than 0 to 2 power b minus 1. So what is means of this is by, so recall what he meant was that you have these b locations or b bits, whatever you want to call it, b bits. For each toss a coin, head comes, put 1, tail comes, put 0. Okay? Okay. Okay. So suppose, let's call this method of generation uniform two power b minus 1. And the question which I asked last time was, how do we sample from 1 to n, where n may not be equal to 2 power b? Okay. So I'm going to give you an algorithm and its analysis today. So what you do is that you set b equal to base n, and you repeat the following procedure. What is this? You generate a sample x from uniform two to the power b, okay, from the previous algorithm, which we just now saw, right, as described above. And then what I will do, if x is less than equal to n, output x and halt. Is the algorithm clear? So basically what I do, I have chosen a number b, which is ceiling of log n. So I have b bits, and I uniformly generate a number. If it is less than n or equal to n, then output x, else I repeat. And I keep doing this until I get a number which is within the range 1 to n. Okay. Now there is a question. Okay. What we need to show? We need to show the following. What we need to show is that for each of the values, okay, for each of the values 1 to n, okay, to get an output with probability 1 over n. This is what I want to show. Okay. So specifically, what we want to show that given we want to show that if x is sampled from uniform 1 to 2 power b, okay, then for any I in 1 to n, okay, we have probability that x equal to I, given that x is less than equal to n, is 1 over n. So this is what we want to show. Okay, and how will proof goes? Proof is very simple for this. So basically it says that, look, probability, so here's the proof, here's the proof, probability that x equal to I, given x is less than equal to n, is probability by conditional probability, what we can say, x equal to I and x is less than equal to n divided by probability x is less than equal to n, just by definition of conditional probability. But what is this? X is I and x is less than equal to n is same as probability x equal to I and probability x is less than equal to n. What is probability x equal to I? Well, it is 1 over, oh no, oh no, okay. Sorry, something happened. Okay. But what is probability x equal to I? Probability x equal to I is like 1 over 2 to the power b. And what is the probability x is less than equal to n? N over 2 to the power t, which is equal to 1 over n. Okay. So this is very clear that whenever our algorithm outputs, its outputs number with probability 1 over n. Okay. Is there any question there? Hello? Do you have any question?
Yes, okay. It's clear, it's clear.
Okay, great. Okay. Okay, so let me, okay. But let's ask ourselves a question. Is that how many, okay, how many coin flips does this algorithm do? Right? You get my question? Look, this algorithm is not like our previous. Like when n was equal to 2 power b, then we knew that what we did is b coin tosses. But now, what are we saying? Well, if I do certain number of rounds, okay, like each time we go through this repeat loop, each time we spend b bits, right? Okay. So if I go through this x number, like say t number of rounds, then we will be doing tb number of bits. So we should ask ourselves, what is the expected number of bits that we will need to generate a number uniformly at random from 1 to n. Okay, this is a question. Or in other words, how many expected number of coin flips? Okay, and this is where something interesting happens. Is that let's ask ourselves, why will I fail in the first round? Okay, why will I fail in the first round? What is the probability that we fail in the first round? Okay, let's ask, what is the probability we do not get a number in 1 to n in first loop? Okay, so notice what is the way we have chosen. What did we choose b equal to? We chose b equal to ceiling this. So what can we say? Can I say this then? B minus 1, no, is greater than equal to log n less than equal to b, right? It's a biggest integer because b is an integer. So log n is definitely greater than equal to, strictly greater than b minus 1. But log n is less than equal to b, right? Because it's a ceiling. So maybe it is more than some b minus 1, some fraction. So it is b. But it could also be equal to b. What does this implies? This implies that 2b by 2 is less than n, which is less than equal to 2b, right? Which implies that n is between 2b minus 1 and 2b. So from here, what can we say? So from here, we can say probability x is less than equal to n is how much? Is equal to n to the power 2b, right? And what is this? Is greater than equal to half. I just use this inequality here. Right? N is at least 2 power b minus 1, right? So what did I use here? Okay, just so if you push it here, then you get 2 power b minus 1 divided by 2b, which is half, right? Okay, so let's ask ourselves, so expected number of times we iterate, suppose this is a question mark, okay? Trait is a question mark, or say alpha, doesn't matter. Okay? Is alpha. This implies that the expected number of coin tosses is alpha times b. Okay. Now, question: what is alpha? Here's my poll. And here you get a question on your screen. What do you think expected number of iteration is? So As I told you before, it's an anonymous poll, so I will never know who polled what. All I need is just some data so that we decide to do, like, concentrate on what to teach. So at least I need 4 people more to vote. It will be nice. Only 8 of 15 have voted. I'm just trying to replace the way we ask questions in the class with these little polls. I'm just trying to see today if it is helpful, because if that gives me a little bit of pause, it also lets you allows you to think a little bit. So I hope this is a bit more helpful. Okay, so I'll wait for 18 more seconds and then I'll close the poll. 15 more seconds and close the poll. So 5 of you are still to vote. Okay, so I'm not getting any more, so I'll show you the poll result. Share results. Okay, so if you notice, overwhelmingly, a lot of you have said 2. Okay, so alpha is 2. Okay, a lot of you have said 3. Some of you have said don't know, and so 70% people have said this. So if even just by the polling results, we should believe that alpha equal to 2, and alpha equal to 2 is the correct answer. Now, I'm not going to tell you in a minute how we are going to get alpha, but we'll take a detour and understand why alpha equal to 2, because this is something which we will be used all over the time. Okay, so let's call it a digression and let's try to learn this forever. Okay, so let's try to get alpha equal to 2. So I'm going to set up some set of random variable. Let Z be the random variable, which is number of, say, loops. Okay. So if Z is a random variable, what all values can Z take? Okay. What all values can Z take? Let's see. Range. Okay, so here's a question for you. This time, let's not take more than another minute more. It will be nice to get more people voting. Okay, I'll close the vote in another 30 seconds. So please. I'm learning to use Zoom as a tools to teach. Okay. 10 more seconds, and then I'll close the poll. Okay, so I end my poll. I share the results with you. So, see, some of you have said 1 to 2, and some of you have said 1 to B, and some of you have said N, and some of you have also seen this before, but 7 people have said that they have not seen this before, which is not a problem. I just wanted to have like feeling what is these things are. So seeing that Z takes natural number is easy. Why? Look, this is what I said. Look, it's possible that the first time I get a number which is beyond n. That's like failure. Second time, I again do this. I again get some number which is beyond n. And I can keep doing this for infinitely often. That event also has a non-zero probability, right? Because I could, so imagine that I have n here and it is 2 power b is here. So if I keep picking some number in this range, there's a non-zero probability that I pick this in the first time, I pick this in the second time, I pick this in the third time, so on and so forth. And hence, we do not know what Z could take. So the Z could take 1, 2, dot, 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 I don't know, I mean like n, and so on and so forth. But what does this reminds us of? Right? When do we stop? Why are we doing this first time? Why did we not stop in the first time? Because we failed in the first time. Why did we not stop in the second time? Because we failed in the first time as well as second time. Why did we not stop in the third time? Because, well, or why do we take 3 steps? Because we failed first step, second step, and we succeeded in the third step. Why did we take 4 steps? Because we failed in the first step, we failed in the second step, we failed in the third step, and but we succeed in the fourth step. And these are what is called geometric random variable. Okay, these are called what is called geometric random variable, and basically it is flip a coin until it lands a head. Right? So I want to know what is the distribution of the number of tosses, number of flips. Oh God. Okay, so this is an example of one geometric distribution. So what happens in geometric distribution? So geometric distribution, we perform a sequence of n independent trials until the first success. Okay, where each trial succeeds, with probability p. Okay, so here's the definition. Okay, I'm going to use the word GRV as geometric random variable X with parameter P. Okay, with parameter P is given by the following following probability distribution on n equal to 1, 2, dot, dot, dot. What is this? Probability that x equal to n is 1 minus p, n minus 1 times p. So this is what it is given by. Right? So what is x equal to n? I failed n minus 1 time, and they are independent. So 1 by p, 1 minus p times 1 minus p times 1 minus p, but I succeeded in the nth time. So probability p. So I'm saying this forms a probability distribution on n equal to 1 to n. So here's an exercise. Summation probability x equal to n going from 1 to infinity is equal to 1. Show for yourself. Okay, that will show that it provides a probability distribution on n. Okay, but what are we interested in? What are we interested in is expectation of x. What is an expectation of x? Well, just now we agreed it can take value from 1 to infinity. So it is I times probability x equal to I. Okay. So this is what we would like to prove, like get us some bound on this. This is what we are interested in. If we are able to somehow compute this in terms of p and n, then we will see that that will imply how many number of times we need to run, like number of times we need to run the algorithm before we get a number between 1 to n being output. Okay, so here's a lemma which I wish to prove. Okay, and suppose a random variable takes values in the set of natural numbers that is, this random variable takes subset of 0, 1, 2, dot, 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 like some subset of this as values. Then there is an alternate way to compute. Suppose a random variable x takes values in the set of natural numbers, this, then expectation of x is summation I equal to 1 to infinity probability x greater than equal to I. So if we can prove this, then we can apply the same for geometric random variables, because they anyway take value. Okay, so we want to start from here and get to the other definition of expectation which we wrote here. So let's just compute this. So what is this? So summation I equal to 1 to infinity probability x greater than equal to I is same as summation I equal to 1 to infinity summation j equal to I to infinity probability x equal to j, right? Because I have this is just the definition of x greater than equal to I, right? So it takes value I plus 1, blah, blah, blah. So j equal to I to infinity, x equal to j. Now, what is this first sum? So basically think of this, that how many times now I want to rewrite, like change my summation, change my summand. Okay, so I want to say summation j equal to I equal to infinity. Okay, how many times do I get this? Okay, so notice for j equal to 1, what happens? So if x takes value j equal to, how many times do I take x equal to 1? So, well, when I is 1, then you take 1, 2, 3, dot, dot, dot. And the next time, what happens? Next time, next summands start from 2. So 2, 3, dot, dot. What happens next time? Summand starts from 3, 4. So if you notice, you take 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, 4 time, so on and so forth. Okay, so from here you can reverse this summation and get that this is nothing but summation I equal to 1 to j probability x equal to j, right? And so this will give you summation j equal to 1 to infinity j times probability x equal to j. Okay, here's a caveat or some comment. you cannot interchange infinite sum always. Okay, here everything is positive, so we can do. Okay, so there is like notion of limits of sums and all this. I'm not going to go through, but when every quantity is positive, you can do interchange of sums. Okay, otherwise you cannot sum. So this is a comment. Those people who knows mathematics will know very well that infinite sums cannot be interchanged always. Things could become convergence to divergence and things like. But this is exactly what was our definition of expectation of x was. Okay, so now, okay, so now let's try to compute from this formula. So what do we get? Expectation of x is nothing but summation I equal to 1 to infinity, I equal to 1 to infinity, probability x is greater than equal to I. Okay. Now, let's compute probability x is greater than equal to I. What is the probability x greater than equal to I? Summation n equal to 1 to infinity. Now we are in our setting. Okay. So we have 1 minus p to the power n minus 1 times p. Okay. So do you know the formula for infinite sum? Formula for infinite sum is a 1 minus r, where r must be less than 1, right? So this is a like, and this is why the name comes geometric random variable, because this is a geometric series. Okay. So what is our first term here? Our first term will be what is our first term here? Our first term will be here 1 minus p I minus 1 times, this is our a. And what is our ratio? Just divide by 2 consecutive entries. So our ratio is going to be 1 by p to the power n times p, 1 minus p to the power n minus 1 times p. So pp will get cancelled, this will get cancelled, so 1 minus p. So what is this sum going to be then equal to be? It is going to be equal to 1 minus p I minus 1 I minus 1 times p and 1 minus r. So 1 minus p, which is 1 minus p to the power I minus 1 to the power p, and what you will get here is p. So by this it will get cancelled, and what you get is 1 by p I minus 1. So we have computed one term here. But now, what are we interested in? We were interested in expectation of x. So now we can compute expectation of x is summation over I going from 1 to infinity, 1 minus p to the power I minus 1. This is another geometric series. You apply a 1 minus r. What is my first term here? What is my first term here? I equal to 1 is 1 minus 1, 0. So this is 1 minus p to the power 0. And my ratio is going to be 1 minus p, which is going to be 1. Minus 1 will get cancelled, plus p. So it is 1 over p. Okay? Okay. So expected number of times that we need to apply is p. Now, if we go back to our example, or from where we took this digression, right? Where did we go? What did we show? That look, probability, okay, this is where it was, right? Probability that you will fail. So 1 minus p is less than equal to half, right? Or p is greater than half. And this is why all these people said that alpha is less than equal to 1 over p, because, yeah, which is, what was p for us is half. So this is why we got 2 here. Okay. And how do I remember this? This is very, I did all this computation because it is good to remember this thing once. Everybody should know. But the reason to remember is this. Look, is I want $1, okay? And each time I'm succeeding with, what is that called? Look, with probability P, I succeed. So like P dollars. So how many times do I need to spend to get, or like say P, get $1 is 1 over P, right? So this is also a very simple way to keep this in our head. Okay. So look, this is the kind of situation which happens very often, and for Las Vegas algorithms, right? So remember Las Vegas algorithms, where algorithm is deterministic, but the running time is not. It can keep taking time. It can keep taking time. It can keep taking time. And that is where you do these kind of analysis and say, look, we have succeeded in the first round this. So the number of times that I need to run this algorithm before I can see an output is this, right? So for example, can we make our quicksort? What was our quicksort algorithm? Was not a Las Vegas algorithm, because it always, in just one round, it gave me a sorting algorithm. What we needed to compute is this. But maybe we could have a, say, for example, a median algorithm where we say, look, we randomly sample some things, output this as a median. Or if this is not a median of the correct median, then go back and keep doing this. So now probably we can ask the question, well, when this algorithm stop, right? So if you can say, look, after a certain number of rounds, the probability is right, really, I mean, we will just succeed, right? So then you show such kind of things. So in any of those situations, we have failure, and success. And the moment the success happens, you stop. So all those kind of randomized algorithms can be modeled by geometric random variable, because every time it's an independent trial of the same algorithm, right? So we succeed with this, sorry, we fail, and then we succeed. It is like getting a first time getting ahead while we are doing a sequence of m coin tosses. Okay, so just to drill this point in your head a little bit more, let me do another example. Okay, I don't know, I'm sure all of you have seen this example maybe, but even if not, then it should be coupons collection. Okay, so at least I remember when I was a child, we used to buy chewing gums. Okay, and in chewing gum, we used to get superheroes picture. And what we used to do, collect all different superheroes, send to the company, and get a prize, which used to be some book or toy. Prize, generally a superhero toy. Have you seen this? Like, did you play this when you were a child? Anybody?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So now, very natural question, at least even then I remember I used to have, but like not that I knew how to analyze these things, is how many do we need to buy to see all the superheroes? Okay. So first of all, how we are going to model this question in our setting in a randomized algorithm, okay? And how are we going to solve this? So to do that, we will believe that our superheroes will correspond to coupons, or coupons, and chewing gum will correspond to boxes. Okay, so here are the boxes, and each coupon is kept in the box. Okay, so how many coupons we have? N coupons. Okay, each coupon is kept in a box uniformly at random. Means like I kept one of the coupons with probability 1 over n. So every coupon has gone into the box with probability 1 over n, right? So this is the process. This is a random process we have. Now we ask ourselves, how many boxes before we see all coupons? Okay, is the question clear? Okay, so I'm going to tell you how many boxes do you need to buy today. And that will be the end of our lecture today. Okay, so let X be the number of boxes. Okay, bought until at least one coupon of every type is collected. Every type is obtained. Okay, and what are we interested in? We are interested in expectation of X for now. So what we'll do is that we'll break up X into bunch of geometric random variables and then apply our previous analysis on each of them to get an upper bound. Okay, so what are we going to do? We are going to say, look, we are going to look at the sequence. So in the beginning, I have no boxes. Okay, in the beginning, I have no boxes. So I see 0 coupons. Then I saw 1 coupon. Then I open another 1. Then suddenly I saw 2. For some time, I either got the first coupon or the second coupon, but still the number of coupons I have is 2. Then I have 3. Then maybe 4, and then I was suddenly lucky. I saw 5. I was again lucky. I saw 6. ... Okay. So I'm going to. So if you look at the process, this process here, what happens? Failure, success. Failure, success. Failure, success. So this reminds of the geometric random variable, right? Like in between, like why am I not Why am I not succeeding? Because I'm only seeing the old coupons. Okay. So now let's set up these things. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set this up. I'm going to say xi is the number of boxes with number of boxes bought while you have exactly I minus 1 coupons. Okay, I have exactly I minus 1 coupons. Right? So for example, in our example, x0 is 0, x1 is like 1, 2, 3, 4, x2 is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, notice, can I say this then? X is nothing but summation xi, I going from 1 to how much? N minus 1. Sorry, n. Right? Because that is exactly when it stops. So if you notice, x0 is 0, xn is n, because you only see exactly one coupon, one box of that coupon, right? So if I can get an expectation of all these guys, right, each of these xi, then we are happy. Okay, so now let's try to understand what xi could take. Okay, so xi could take value between 1, 2, dot, 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 I don't know, n, dot, 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 right? Now, this is exactly like geometric random variable. Okay, you can take all these numbers, fine. But what is the probability of xi? Right? So let's call this pi. So probability of xi is what? Right? What is pi? Is so let's try to understand this a bit more clearly. Okay. So why probability of x I when xi succeeds? When will you succeed? When you see the ith coupon. What is the probability of seeing an ith coupon? Okay, so you have seen I minus 1 old coupon. So you have chances to see a new coupon is like n minus I minus 1, because already I minus 1 coupons you have seen, and divided by n, because this is how, right? So this is 1 minus I minus 1 by n. So let's call this pi, right? So this is the success probability. So what is the failure probability? Is 1 minus this. Okay, so why? So xi takes I, like xi means I'm going to see an ith coupon, right? So it's like fine. Xi is number of boxes bought, right? What is xi? Number of boxes bought until you see what is this called? Until you see what do you call? Exactly what do you call? You see exactly I minus 1 coupon. So you succeed the moment you see ith coupon. So what is the chances of seeing an ith coupon is like n minus I minus 1. That is the new set of coupons is left divided by n. Now, so if I say, well, xi will be 3, it means I failed in the first chance, I failed in the second chance, I succeed in the third chance. So when xi succeeds, well, xi succeeds when he sees the ith coupon, right? So when is he, oh, what is the chances of succeeding in the first round? Like one chance is this. What is the probability of succeeding in the two chance? 1 and 1. What is the probability of succeeding in the third chance? Fail, 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 success. So this is why this is a geometric distribution with probability pi. Okay. So what is an expectation of xi? Is 1 over p, which is same as n divided by n minus I minus 1, which is n by n minus I plus 1. So what is my expectation of x? Well, now we know is summation going from, now by linearity of expectation of x is summation expectation of xi, which is summation n over n minus I plus 1, which is less than equal, which is actually equal to n over summation 1 over n minus I plus 1. Does it remind you of anything? Can I say this something? So look at I is going from 1 to n. So when I equal to n, what I'm going to get? 1 by 1. When I equal to n minus 1, then I'm going to get 2. So this is basically summation from, if I look at this, I can write it this summation I equal to 1 to n, 1 over n, just reverse. And if you recall correctly, what it was summation of n? This was basically upper bounded by ln n. Okay. So expected number of bags that, or the, not bags, what was that? Boxes that we need to buy to see all coupons is like n ln n. And we can show that this is very close to its probability. So you see, it was about some objects, and we have made it into, broken down into some small geometric random variable. For each geometric random variable, we see with what probability it is a geometric random variable. We applied an upper bound on its expectation to get an expectation of everything. So, and good thing or bad thing is that this model of coupon collector comes very often in most of the randomized algorithm. Also in, what is that called? It is also very, very useful in, what is that called? In big data. So I think with that, I will close my lecture today.